A very good morning to all. Today let's start this class with a new chapter, chapter number 19, and the name of the chapter is India, Climate, Vegetation and Wildlife. So here in page number 160, you can see the big ideas. Here you can see the topics that we will be discussing in this chapter. The topics are India, its climate, types of vegetation found in India, variety of wildlife in India. Now here at a glance you can see a flow chart with the main heading Our Country India, and we will be discussing the climate, wildlife and vegetation of our country. Now here in the newsmaker you can see the picture of Sundar Lal Bahuguna. He is an environmentalist and a follower of Gandhian philosophy of non-violence and satyagraha. His name is also associated with the Chipko movement that started in the year 1973 in Uttar Pradesh to save the trees and forest from falling. And he also gave the slogan that is ecology is permanent economy. So this was given by Sundar Lal Bahuguna. And Bahuguna, he took out a trans-Himalayan foot march travelling across 5,000 kilometers before meeting the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who imposed 15-year ban on the cutting of trees in Uttar Pradesh in the year 1980. Here the trans-Himalayan means eastward continuation of the Himalayas. So this was about Sundar Lal Bahuguna. So here in this chapter we are going to discuss the relation between India's land and climate and also its effect on the wildlife and vegetation. So here in this chapter we will also discuss about the varieties of vegetation and wildlife. But before that, let's be familiar with few terms. The first one is weather. So what do you understand by weather? The day-to-day change in the atmosphere is known as weather, and it includes changes like temperature, rainfall, sunshine, etc. So this was about weather. The next one is season. So what do you understand by season? Here season means when the same kind of weather condition extends for many days, it is known as season. And you all know that we have four major seasons, that is summer, southwest monsoon, that is the rainy season, retreating monsoon, which is also known as autumn season, and winter season. So in India we have four major seasons, that is summer, southwest monsoon, retreating monsoon and winter season. So we will be discussing about these seasons in this chapter. And you also know that India has tropical monsoon climate. So what does this mean? First, let's understand what is the meaning of tropical climate. Here it is a type of climate typically in the tropics, and this climate is very hot and humid. And what about the tropical monsoon climate? Here it means that the climate has two dry seasons with low rainfall, and the two dry seasons are the summer and the winter season. So during these two seasons we receive very low rainfall, and our country also has a distinct rainy season with very high rainfall. So this was about India's tropical monsoon climate. Now let's understand the factors that influence the climate of our country. So the first factor that influences the climate of our country is latitude. But before that, let's discuss about the geographical zones. So you all know that there are 5 geographical zones, and they are the North Frigid Zone, the North Temperate Zone and the Tropics, then the South Temperate Zone and the South Frigid Zone. So our earth is divided into many geographical zones, and these are the zones. So let's discuss about the first factor, that is latitude. So here in this figure you can see the region between the Tropic of Cancer and equator is the North Tropical Zone, and the region between the equator and Tropic of Capricorn is the South Tropical Zone. And also the region between the Arctic Circle and Tropic of Cancer is the Temperate Zone, whereas the region between the Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle is the South Temperate Zone. So, this is the way how the earth is divided into geographical zones, and you can see that this Tropic of Cancer, it divides our country India into two equal halves. And here you can see the northern part of India, it lies in the temperate zone and it has extreme climate, that is very hot in summer and very cold in winters. Whereas the tropical part of peninsular India, which is near to the equator, it has warm and tropical climate, that is with no distinct winter. So, this was about the first factor, that is latitude. Now, the second factor is altitude. So, what do you understand by altitude? Altitude is the height of a place above the sea level. So, you all know that as the altitude increases, there is a decrease in the temperature. Now, do you know why people go to hill stations during the summer season? This is because the hill stations, it's cooler than the northern plain in the summer season. So, altitude is one of the factors that influence the climate of India. For example, let's take two places, that is Ludhiana and Shimla. So, they are at equal distance from the equator. So, they must have the same temperature, but here Shimla is cooler than Ludhiana. The reason is that Shimla is located 2150 meters approximately above the sea level, whereas Ludhiana is located 250 meters approximately above the sea level. So, altitude is one of the factors that influence the climate of our country. Now, the next factor is the distance from the sea. Here, the water bodies close to the lands, it affects the temperature of that place. So, you all know that during the daytime, the land gets heated and low pressure is created there, whereas the water body, it is cooler as comparatively to the land and high pressure is created here. So, the wind blows from high pressure region to the low pressure region, whereas at night the land, it gives up heat and high pressure is created, whereas the water body, it remains warm and low pressure is created. So, the wind blows from land to the water body. So, this circulation of land breeze and sea breeze, it continues in both summer as well as in winter. This way, the water bodies that are close to the land, it helps in moderating the climate of that particular place. So, the distance from the sea is one of the factors that influence the climate of our country. Now, the next factor is the direction of mountain ranges. Here, the east-west direction of the Himalayas, it acts as a barrier, that is, it stops the cold wind from the Central Asia to enter our country, and also it does not allow the monsoon winds to leave our country. So, the direction of the mountain ranges is another factor that influence the climate of our country. Now, the next factor is the seasonal winds. Here, the winds bring air from one type of climate to another. For example, warm wind that blows over the water bodies, it collects lots of moisture in it. So, when they reaches the cooler climate, these water vapors in the air, it condenses and heavy rainfall occurs. So, this is why the coastal areas have heavy rainfall. So, these are the factors that influence the climate of our country, and the factors are latitude, altitude, the direction of the mountain ranges, distance from the sea and seasonal winds. So, let us discuss about the four major seasons of our country. As you all know, the seasons are summer, southwest monsoon, retreating monsoon and winter season. So, first let us discuss about summer season. So, here in this figure you can see that the northern hemisphere, it receives direct sun rays. So, here India begins to get warmer and the temperature, it rises from 30 degrees Celsius in March to 40 degree in May, and by mid of June the sun moves vertically over the Tropic of Cancer. So here most part of northwestern India and central India experiences hot summer season, and here the great Indian desert, it records very high temperature of more than 50°C, and at the same time the coastal regions have low temperature because of the cool sea breeze, and also the places at higher altitudes like the mountains, it also have low temperature, as you all know that as the altitude increases, the temperature decreases. During this time, that is during the summer season, mostly in northern plains, hot dry wind blows, which is known as Loo, and these winds are very common in Punjab, Haryana, western part of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So here these are mostly dust storms, but sometimes they also bring rain, and in Kerala the local thunderstorms are called mango showers because it helps in the ripening of mango, and also in West Bengal these are known as Kal Baisakhi, that means calamity in the month of Baisakhi, and it is good for the growth of rice and jute. And in Assam, these storms are called Bardoli Chera, which is good for the growth of tea crops in Assam. So this was about the summer season. Next seasons we will be discussing in the next class. That's all for today. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.